The movie opens with a lively birthday celebration at a restaurant for Claire Benoit. Surrounded by her classmates, Claire enjoys the party, but as it winds down, she finds herself lingering with her best friend Marcia and her father, waiting for one particular guest, Casey Cook. Casey, an introverted girl, is still on the phone with her family, and Claire admits to her father that she isn't entirely sure why she invited her. When Casey finally returns, she explains that her car has broken down and she must take the bus home. Concerned, Claire's father offers her a ride, and all three girls get into the car. As he begins placing items inside, an unexpected figure approaches, and before anyone can react, a man suddenly enters the car. Claire suspects he may have gotten into the wrong vehicle, but the man quickly pulls a mask over his face and sprays a gas that knocks them unconscious. When Casey regains consciousness, she finds herself locked in a room, with Claire and Marcia sitting frightened before her. Suddenly, the door opens and the kidnapper steps in, dragging Marcia away. Thinking quickly, Casey instructs Marcia to urinate on herself to repel him, and her plan works, allowing Marcia to escape his immediate attention. As the situation unfolds, it becomes clear that one of the personalities of their captor, Dennis, suffers from obsessive-compulsive disorder, a condition that makes him extremely sensitive to dirt and cleanliness, compelling him to wash and sanitize obsessively. Dennis also harbors a disturbing fixation on nudity, particularly watching young women dance, and to fulfill his twisted desires, he takes Marcia along with him. Meanwhile, Dr. Karen Fletcher, a dedicated psychiatrist, arrives at her apartment and sees the news of the girl's kidnapping flashing across the television. At the same time, she notices an urgent email from one of her patients, Kevin, requesting an immediate session. Back with the girls, Claire realizes they cannot afford to remain passive. She urges Casey and Marcia to fight for their survival. Meanwhile, Kevin, revealed to be the kidnapper, arrives at Dr. Karen's office. It's at this point that viewers learn Kevin suffers from dissociative identity disorder, a condition in which multiple distinct personalities coexist within a single individual, often unaware of each other. Kevin alone harbors 23 personalities, each with unique traits. Dr. Karen is well acquainted with Kevin's many identities, knowing them in depth. Today he presents himself as Barry, a personality that is cooperative and agreeable, earning Dr. Karen's trust. Yet the sudden request for a session raises her suspicions, and she cautiously asks Barry if everything is truly all right. Kevin quickly grows anxious during the conversation with Dr. Karen and abruptly insists that he is fine, promising to meet her at their next scheduled session. Meanwhile, the girls, still trapped, overhear him speaking to someone through the room's door. Curious and desperate, they peek through the door's peephole, trying to understand what's happening. In a moment of hope, they shout for help when the door opens, expecting a rescuer, but their relief turns to horror when it isn't anyone coming to save them. The figure that enters is Kevin himself, yet he introduces himself as Patricia, one of his 23 personalities in which he believes himself to be a young woman. Patricia reassures the girls that she has instructed Dennis, another of Kevin's personalities, not to harm them, giving the terrified girls a brief moment of hope that perhaps he is merely trying to scare them. The reprieve is short-lived. Dennis emerges next, a personality crippled by obsessive-compulsive disorder, carrying cleaning supplies. He explains that Patricia has warned him to behave and promises not to approach them with harmful intent. The girls begin to realize the bizarre complexity of Kevin's mind. Each personality has its own rules, its own motives, and its own behavior. Soon after, a new personality appears, Hedwig, a 9-year-old boy. Hedwig cryptically warns them of who is coming, refusing to reveal details, insisting they wouldn't like it. When Casey engages him in conversation, cleverly distracting him, she realizes that Hedwig is cautious, protective even, and refuses to take them outside because it took him years to make the space safe. This brief exchange gives Casey a glimmer of hope. There must be another way out. The three girls begin searching the room for an escape route, eventually discovering a hidden opening in the ceiling. Claire manages to open it while Casey and Marcia attempt to block the main door. But Dennis returns, forcing Claire back and locking her alone in another room. In this terrifying moment, the girls understand the chilling truth. Kevin's personalities switch unpredictably, each with unique behaviors and limitations, which makes their captor both unpredictable and dangerous. Elsewhere, Dr. Karen is giving a lecture on dissociative identity disorder. She explains the extraordinary capabilities of some patients, describing how trauma can create new personalities, each formed to confront specific challenges. She recounts witnessing one patient write with both hands simultaneously, producing two entirely different texts, each representing a distinct personality. This insight helps her understand Kevin's condition. Every persona exists for a purpose, often born from trauma. Back in Kevin's world, the Barry personality appears for a scheduled session with Dr. Karen. However, she immediately senses something is off. Barry's behavior contradicts his usual composure, and she quickly deduces that she is speaking not to Barry, but to Dennis, another of Kevin's identities. Barry, confused and surprised by her recognition, is forced to confront the fact that even he is subject to the fragmented reality of Kevin's fractured mind. Through her sessions with Kevin, Dr. Karen begins to uncover a deeper layer of his fractured psyche. Two of his personalities, Dennis and Patricia, had previously been suppressed because of their dangerous tendencies. Dennis with his disturbing obsession with watching young women dance, and Patricia with her controlling and sometimes manipulative behavior. Dennis's origins trace back to a traumatic incident in Kevin's past, when two girls had harmed him, triggering the birth of this protective yet harmful persona. During a session, Dr. Karen, still wary that Dennis might have taken control, questions Barry, who insists that he is truly Barry and not another identity. Convinced but cautious, Dr. Karen allows the session to end, monitoring Kevin through her apartment's security cameras. She notices him walking through garbage without hesitation, a clear contradiction if Dennis were in control, given his obsessive-compulsive cleanliness. Dr. Karen begins to suspect that either Patricia is orchestrating events or that Kevin is planning something significant. Meanwhile, the girls remain in peril. Patricia, one of Kevin's personalities, appears to deliver food to Casey and Marcia, escorting them to the kitchen. In a desperate attempt to escape, Marcia attacks, but Patricia easily overpowers her and locks her in a separate room, much like Claire before. Then Dennis emerges, ominously warning Casey that a dangerous presence, known only as the Beast, is approaching and intends to kill all three girls. As the situation becomes increasingly tense, Hedwig, the 9-year-old personality, appears and explains that Barry previously controlled which personalities could manifest, but now Hedwig can emerge at will. Hedwig reveals that Dennis and Patricia are both aligned in believing in the Beast, acting to protect Kevin rather than harm him. Kevin's twisted past begins to come to light. Abandoned by his father during a train journey, physically abused by his mother, and traumatized by a violent encounter with girls, his psyche fragmented into 23 personalities, each born to confront a specific fear or challenge. Kevin's core self is timid and vulnerable, which is why Dennis and Patricia often dominate, acting as guardians of his body. At the same time, Casey's own traumatic history surfaces. Her uncle John, who became her guardian after her father's death, had molested her during childhood, leaving deep psychological scars that haunt her even now. Sensing the escalating danger, Dr. Karen receives multiple urgent emails from Barry pleading for help. Realizing the gravity of the situation, she rushes to Kevin's house. There, Dennis meets her, and she attempts to reason with him, aware that understanding the interplay of Kevin's personalities is the key to saving the girls before it's too late. Dennis warns Dr. Karen that the Beast is coming, a powerful, unstoppable presence who will make everything right. Dr. Karen quickly deduces that this is Kevin's 24th personality, a terrifying and dominant force. She tries to reason with Dennis, explaining that unleashing the Beast isn't necessary, but he doesn't understand. Through their tense conversation, she begins to suspect that Dennis is directly involved in the kidnapping of the girls. Using an excuse to check the washroom, she discovers Claire but is quickly overpowered by Dennis, who renders her unconscious. Meanwhile, Kevin is briefly seen on a train, hinting at the Beast's imminent arrival. The Beast, a monstrous and dominant personality, emerges and returns to the house, where Casey, Claire, and Marcia are desperately trying to unlock their rooms. Casey succeeds in opening her door and discovers videos on Kevin's computer documenting his many personalities. One video reveals the location of the key, offering the girls a chance at escape. The situation escalates rapidly as the beast emerges in full force, killing Dr. Karen and attacking the girls. Physically human but monstrously transformed in mind, the beast climbs walls and moves with terrifying agility. As the beast approaches Casey, she spots a paper left by Dr. Karen with Kevin's full name written on it. Calling out his full name immediately triggers Kevin's original personality to resurface. The realization dawns. Whenever Kevin is addressed by his full name, his core self returns. Overwhelmed by the horror of Dr. Karen's death, Kevin directs Casey to a gun in a closet, asking her to shoot him to prevent further harm. However, the shifting personalities interrupt, and Hedwig briefly takes control. The other personalities intervene, declaring that Kevin has been put to sleep and will no longer awaken, leaving the beast free. Casey courageously retrieves the gun and fires at the beast, but it remains unfazed. Forced to hide in a cage, she watches helplessly as the beast begins to break through. At the critical moment, the beast notices the scars on Casey's body, remnants of the abuse she suffered at the hands of her Uncle John. Recognizing her trauma and purity, the beast pauses, understanding that she is different from the others. In a surprising act of mercy, the beast leaves her unharmed. After the beast departs, Casey emerges from hiding, shaken but alive. She is guided to safety by a man and discovers she had been trapped in a zoo-like environment. The man calls the police, and Casey is finally shown sitting in a police car, facing her guardian Uncle John, the source of her past trauma, as the story closes. Finally, Casey is able to leave the terrifying ordeal behind, and as she is escorted home, tears of pain and relief fill her eyes. The trauma she endured is clear in her expression, a mix of fear, sorrow, and resilience. Meanwhile, Kevin is shown alone, staring into a mirror as he shifts between his personalities. Dennis, Patricia, and Hedwig discuss the immense power of the beast, marveling at his strength and resilience. Even bullets could not stop him. This chilling scene underscores the constant, unpredictable danger that Kevin's fractured mind represents. The narrative then cuts to a news report at Silk City's restaurant, explaining that Kevin, due to his 24 distinct personalities, could appear under any name. For simplicity, the authorities assign him the moniker The Horde. A young woman sitting nearby comments that he reminds her of a wheelchair-bound man from 15 years ago, struggling to recall his name. A man named Davis sitting next to her fills in the blank, Mr. Glass. The film closes on this ominous note, leaving viewers with lingering uncertainty. It is never revealed whether Casey makes it safely home, nor whether Kevin's beast personality might return. The story ends on a haunting, suspenseful ambiguity, reinforcing the terrifying power of Kevin's fractured mind.